Rain poured relentlessly that night, the kind that blurred the streetlights and made every sound echo like loneliness itself. Mark, a single dad struggling to keep his world from falling apart, was closing the blinds of his small, run-down apartment when he noticed a woman standing outside in the rain. Her clothes were soaked, her arms wrapped around herself as if holding the last bit of warmth she had left. Something in her eyes stopped him, a quiet pain that mirrored his own. He didn't know it yet, but letting her in that night would change everything. By the next morning, one phone call from her would rewrite his entire life story. Mark's life had been a series of uphill battles ever since his wife passed away 3 years ago. He worked double shifts at a repair shop, barely earning enough to pay rent and buy groceries for his 7-year-old daughter, Lily. Every night he came home exhausted, yet somehow the smile of his little girl gave him enough strength to start all over again. But lately, the weight of unpaid bills, the broken heater, and the landlord's threats were beginning to crush him. The only comfort he had was the small, warm laugh that came from Lily's bedroom as she hugged her worn-out teddy bear, whispering goodnight to her mom's picture. That night, as thunder shook the windows, Mark couldn't shake off the image of that woman outside. She wasn't begging, she wasn't asking for help, she was just standing there, lost. Against his better judgment, he grabbed his jacket, opened the door, and called out, "Hey, are you okay?" She flinched at first, then slowly turned toward him. Her face was pale, her hair was black, her hair was plastered to her forehead, and her voice barely audible. "I just need a place to stay for the night. I'll leave in the morning." He hesitated. His mind screamed no, he had a child inside, and she was a stranger. But then he looked into her eyes again, and something about the exhaustion and quiet dignity there made him nod. "Come in, you can crash on the couch." She stepped in, dripping water onto the worn carpet, whispering a quiet, "Thank you." Inside, Lily peeked curiously from her room. "Dottie, who's that?" Mark smiled softly. "Just someone who needs a roof for tonight, sweetheart." Lily's innocence broke the tension instantly. She ran out, handed the woman her small blanket, and said, "It's warm, you can have it." The woman's eyes filled with tears she quickly wiped away. "Thank you, little one," she whispered. The hours passed quietly. Mark offered her soup, and they sat down by the small heater that buzzed louder than it worked. She told him her name was Emily, just Emily, and that she had been through a rough time. She didn't give details, and he didn't ask. They shared small, tired smiles in the silence of the storm. For the first time in months, Mark felt an odd peace, like the universe had paused its cruelty for one brief night. When dawn broke, Emily was already awake, standing by the window watching the first sunlight touch the wet streets. Mark was making coffee, trying to plan a night out, but it was another day of endless work and worry. Emily turned to him and asked quietly, "Can I make a call? I promise it won't take long." He nodded, half listening as she stepped aside with his old phone. The conversation was short, calm, and strangely formal. When she returned the phone, she gave him a small smile that seemed different, confident, knowing. "Thank you for last night, Mark," she said. "You didn't know who I was, but you helped me anyway. People rarely do that anymore." Before he could reply, she left, disappearing down the street like a shadow melting into the light. Mark didn't think much of it. He went on with his day, took Lily to school, returned to the garage, worked through another long shift. But that afternoon, everything changed. When he got home, a sleek black car was parked outside his building. 2 people in suits stood waiting. "Mr. Mark Evans?" one of them asked. "We're from the Bennett Foundation. Emily Bennett asked us to deliver something to you." They handed him an envelope. Inside was a letter and a check. He froze when he saw the amount, $250,000. His hands trembled as he read her note. "You offered a stranger kindness without asking for anything. I was that stranger. My name is Emily Bennett, CEO of Bennett Industries. Consider this not charity, but gratitude. Use it to give your daughter the life she wants. You reminded me that humanity still exists. Never stop being that person." Tears blurred his vision as Lily ran up to him, holding a small drawing of their family. "Daddy, why are you crying?" He knelt, pulling her into his arms. "Because, sweetheart," he whispered, "sometimes the smallest kindness can change everything." In the weeks that followed, Mark paid off his debts, fixed the apartment, and even started his own auto repair shop with the money. He didn't become perfect, but it became hopeful. He often thought about Emily in that stormy night.
Months later, as he picked Lily up from school, he saw a familiar car pull up nearby. Emily stepped out, dressed simply this time, no trace of the corporate world she belonged to. She smiled when she saw him. "Looks like things turned around," she said. He laughed softly, "Thanks to one phone call." She shook her head gently. "No, Mark, one act of kindness." And as they stood there, the sun setting behind them, both of them understood something deeper, that sometimes life's biggest miracles come not from money, power, or luck, but from a single selfless moment when you choose to care for someone who has nothing to give back. That night in the rain wasn't an accident. It was destiny, disguised as kindness.